adolescent girls and women overall are the greatest untapped potential. And what Maureen said, which always makes me cry, so I blubbered during the video. When she said, I want to be someone, you shouldn't want to be someone, you should just be here. You are someone. You are given, you're born and you're expected to be someone. Your parents, if they're good parents, said you can be anything you want to be. And where we're working now, that's not the case. You may be surprised that one of the, well, in Uganda, school isn't free. There are fees attached to it. So families, women are not valued, as Robina said in the video. So sending them to school is not the highest priority when it comes to when they've got some excess cash. But when they do, and girls do go to school, one of the things that keeps them out of school is their period. In Uganda, they do not have access to sanitary products. And the shame, there is actual shame attached to menstruating in Uganda. It's not limited to Uganda, other undeveloped countries as well. But these women, they're subjected to violence in the home and they're subjected to a chauvinistic society. But then, on top of it all, a simple body function that we all take for granted. But these women, these young girls, have no way of managing their menstruation and go to school at the same time. So they leave school, they stay home from school, and they lose, how many days a year?
It's like 45 days,
45 days a year.
Wow. The average teenager will miss 45 days a year of school. So my highest dropout rate in school obviously is in the secondary level, I think.
Right.
Where the numbers is like 5% or less actually complete the
secondary school. And some of the reason, besides not being able to pay school fees, is because they get their period. Now you lose 45 days a year, you've lost 360 days over 4 years. That's
so they're repeating their grades. They're, and then that just eventually tells them, you know what, I can't do anymore. I'm done.
I'm out. Or the parents just say, we can't pay for this anymore. So girls are not being educated literally because they menstruate. And because there's no products there and they do have to manage their menstruation, they will use things like animal skin. They will use things like bark. They will use dirt. They will use ash from a fire. And
if they're lucky, they will have rags. However, hanging them and washing them properly to dry, they can't do that because that's, people don't want to see that.
Right.
So they're not washed properly, which leads to like a tremendous amount of
infections,
diseases,
lots of infections,
reproductive problems, on and on and on and on, which really counteracts what we do when we try to get our girls into school. We obviously have a handle on our small group, but we want to have a handle on a bigger amount of girls.
Right, so we have, one of the things that we do at Sacred Free, we have the education component where we have the girls come to our home and we actually send them to school and they go to a boarding school. Some girls are not at the point where they can do that. They may have small children and we do education in terms of vocational training. We train in tailoring, we train in hairdressing.
The bead making,
which is what they, in Uganda, that's what they do. They make these wonderful beads out of paper, and we use those, we sell those as fundraisers ourselves here. But one of the things that we are currently working on is a reusable sanitary pad program where the girls are going to make these pads that can be washed and reused over and over again so that girls are now free to go to school, to go to work, to not be homebound because they have their period. And I think what's most shocking to me is this is a function of our human body and they're being discriminated against and being made to feel ashamed because they have their period. I mean, we're only beginning to grow out of that here in terms of, men still saying things like, oh, you must be on your period, or, at least that, we're at the point where we could do dumb guy voice and because they say stupid stuff like that. But there, it's a real issue. It's a real issue.
So we've taught them how, in part of our tailoring program, which I actually taught the women how to sew several years ago, and it's a pretty big part of our program right now. We're also opening a tailoring center. We have a hairdressing salon, and we're opening a tailoring center. We're actually combining them as soon as we find a big enough spot, and we'll employ some of our girls there. They are making these sanitary pads just like you see now. They actually will snap around the crotch of the underwear, and then
Like
they take them off and they wash them. And so all our girls are getting them right now as we speak. And in June, we will be implementing this program and giving these out to other secondary schools within the areas. And we just are initiating this program right now as we speak. And this is we have what we call a peer-to-peer network as part of our programs, and what we require our vocational girls as they come to our centers Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, to train. We take care of their children, their babies, we feed them, a couple meals a day, and we send them off. We examine them as they come in, we check for HIV, which is a huge thing. They willingly go now. It was a huge deal. We just have crossed that line. You want to come to Set Her Free? Come on in. We're going to medically evaluate, we're going to test you, we're going to medicate you as needed. HIV is a huge stigma in these countries, as you well know, and nobody wants to know whether they've got it or not. Those are some of the programs that we are doing right now. Obviously, first and foremost, we want to find these girls, assess these girls, be able to educate these girls either formally in school or informally through our vocational training programs. We will rehabilitate them through counseling, mentoring, medical care, anything else that we have to do, and this rehabilitation is probably the biggest part of our program and the toughest part of our program, to get these girls to actually talk to each other about what is going on in their lives. Even though they all come from similar backgrounds, they don't want to talk about it with their sisters. And then we will resettle them back into the community and find employment and follow through with them to make sure that they're still safe and employed and taking care of their families, etc., and leading sustainable lives. We're focused on the well-known fact that women and girls are the most effective way to fight global poverty. We believe that the young people of your generation has the ability to make a huge impact in global change. The one thing I'd love to see happen, and I would like to encourage you guys to do, like I said, I fell into this and it's my passion, and I'm so glad I did. My life will never be the same. I will do it as long as I physically and mentally able to do this. I was in Uganda every 3 months last year. That was a bit much. I'm taking a little bit of a hiatus right now. I'm not going again until June, but there's just so much to be done there, and so many girls to help, and to see the reward and the progress each time I go back, and each individual girl is just huge. But what I was going to say is, in the choice that you're given to further your careers, as you're all doing right now, to hopefully find what your passion is, think in a way in such a way that you can say, how can I help others? How can I make a difference? There's a famous quote by Desmond Tutu. I always say it wrong, but I did write it down here. It's a favorite one of mine. It says, every one of us has the potential to do something that will make a difference. It is so true. You don't have to go to Uganda and start an organization, trust me. It can be the smallest little thing, even if you find a career in accounting or whatever. If you think in terms of helping others versus how can I climb the ladder of success, this is our passion, empowering powerless women. It's what we do. It has spelled success in my life, maybe not monetarily, but that doesn't really matter at this point. I am a firm believer that it is our duty to empower our sisters, and that makes me a successful person. If I can do that, I'm a successful person. And I'm a firm believer of that. If you do follow your passion and lead with those thoughts, it will spell success in your future and in your career.